Welcome into the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. Got a big show planned for you today as we roll along here on Fox Sports Radio 1400, getting closer and closer to the Super Bowl. We could talk about that game. We'll take calls on that. 803-978-1832. Who you got in the Super Bowl? If you want to get into that, we can love to chat with you about that. And we've got some stuff about some of the best facilities in college football. Do you think facilities at this point matter? I know that sounds kind of silly, but yeah, we can get into that. Also, Tom Brady puts out a comment. This guy is going to be, I think there's going to be a set of teams that are going to come calling in July. And Tom Brady may listen. I'll tell you what he said, which is interesting. We'll also look back at the 2021 NFL draft and who you would go after if we redid it. So we'll do all of that. But I feel like I have to start with the stuff that's going on at Auburn with Brian Harsin. I know we talked about it yesterday. And my big thing was, who do you replace him with? You know? Chris Lowe from ESPN put out some names that kind of make you go, huh? The first one right off the top. And this would be the most Auburn move ever. You know? It would be literally, I'm looking for my gong. And once again, with this name that I'm going to give you, I don't want people to think that I'm like against people getting a second chance, but man, maybe you need somebody with the reputation that this guy's got to succeed at Auburn. The first name that comes on the Freeze. I laugh because Hugh Freeze has had issues. Of course, they found ladies of the night have been on his phone, basically. So there's that. Lowe said in an interview this morning, at some point, I think Hugh Freeze has paid his penalty. I mean, Bruce Pearl went back to Auburn and was fired for unethical conduct at Tennessee. How much does he unify that fan base with what he's done? Look at the job that he's done. I hate to break it to Chris Lowe, but football is a completely different animal than basketball. Football is the revenue driving sport for all of the sports around campus. And I know that Auburn is the number one ranked team in the country, and everybody's looking at all of the stuff that Bruce Pearl did. But let's just be honest. Auburn wants to be a football school. That's what the Auburn fans want. They look at basketball, oh, that's cute. You think Bruce Pearl doesn't know that? That's why he had the folks on the list when the Louisville job opened up. He wants to go and coach at a school where basketball is important. That's what Bruce Pearl wants. He will never make Auburn a basketball school because they won't allow it. They would rather have a coach who's going to beat Alabama in football 6 out of 8 years than 2 national championships in basketball. That's just the way that it is. So with that, it's funny that they mention bringing up Hugh Freeze, which, you know, Hugh Freeze went to Liberty and found Jesus is basically what it boiled down to. And is he right for that team? I don't know. Do you want to be the guy that you're already paying, if you get rid of Harsin's, $17 million? Hugh Freeze isn't going to come coach there for free. Let's make sure that we understand that. You're probably going to have to pay his buyout at Liberty from the contract that he just signed. So you're going to have that going down the road too. In addition to what he wants, plus what they want to, what they're paying Harsin to go away. So the idea of that happening I think it's a little bit far-fetched. Auburn fans, though, if you read some of the message boards, they're on fire about it. They like the Hugh Freeze thing. In addition to that, Former Auburn defensive coordinator Kevin Steele, who was in play to get the job a while back, could be another candidate according to Lowe. Now, I think that's a better way to go with a defensive coordinator. Yeah, you could probably, I hate to use this term, but get the Shane Beamer deal with it. Look, we're going to pay you X amount this year because we're paying the guy that was here last year a lot of money. We'll give you a raise later on, that kind of thing. Here's the other stat too. Oklahoma State's Mike Gundy is another option, as is Baylor offensive coordinator Jeff Grimes. I think that right now Auburn needs a stopgap coach. They need a coach that's going to come in, keep some of the guys that they've got there, and then do a national search for a coach and then go from there. If they're getting rid of Harsin, the easy thing to do is to smooth everything over and let Harsin come back and then fire him next year. That would be the easy thing to do. Lowe also mentioned Lane Kiffin, even though he has a huge buyout. Wow. Wow. You step back and you look at this and you say, all right, who the hell wants to go to Auburn now? Let's go out to the phones, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Welcome into the program. Good afternoon.
Hey, it's Big Barney Ross. Calling to you today from Caesars. I decided to come up here and place my sports bet for the NFL Super Bowl. But while I'm here, I'm going to be watching Kentucky play South Carolina tonight in basketball.
Yeah.
In a luxurious lounge. Now, I've got a question for you.
Sure.
Before I go lay my bet down, do you think Kentucky has a shot of beating South Carolina on the road by 30? I'll get off here and listen to your response.
I appreciate that. Thank you for your call. As always, Big Barney Ross. You know, South Carolina and Kentucky play tonight on the basketball court. Gamecocks are tough at home. But I'm beginning to wonder if Frank Martin is kind of, I don't want to say losing his grip on this team because I'm a guy that likes Frank Martin, but they've got a tough stretch. They had Tennessee on the road. They got blown out in the second half. They come back home tonight and they play Kentucky. Now, this would be the Frank Martin game where he comes in and boom, lights somebody on fire. And, they roll to an upset win. Kentucky's tough, though, looking for their 20th win of the season. I think that we'll see on that matchup. A little bit more about that later on. 30 is a stretch there, Big Barney Ross. An absolute stretch. Aaron says they should hire Greg Schiano. How about Jamie Chadwell to Auburn? Jamie Chadwell doesn't want that mess. Jamie Chadwell, I think that the next guy that's going to go there, I think they should literally be like, this is going to be a stopgap guy and then go from there. That may kill recruiting, but at this juncture, Jet Mech asked, how many buyouts will Auburn pay at one time? Well, that's the thing. I looked it up. They paid off Gus Malzahn. They had to pay him off in 30 days. So there's that. Let's go out to the phones again, 803-978-1832. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob. I think Auburn needs to find out who's running Auburn before they even worry about a head coach.
You mean as far as boosters and everything else?
Yeah, I mean, are the boosters running it? Is the president of Auburn running it? Is the athletes are running it? I mean, who knows who's running things there?
Well, I think the boosters have a lot to say from stuff that I've read about it. And I honestly don't know at this point. I mean, when you look at Auburn, you don't think stability right now. And to be honest, I think that if I'm a player there, I'm not going to know who my head coach is. It's going to be really hard for me to get geared up for spring practice, not knowing who the head coach is going to be.
I mean, when has the last time Auburn been stable at the football head coaching position? It's been years.
They were pretty stable with Tommy Tuberville, I think. He was there for a good bit.
Tommy Tuberville was always looking for another job.
That's true.
He was there looking for another job. So, yeah, you're going to come in there and they're going to give you a lot of money, but who's your boss going to be?
It's a good point. I don't know. And
I give money to Clemson. Dabo Sweeney doesn't call me and ask me anything. Okay.
Well, I
don't have a say in the world.
I don't think Dabo Sweeney takes any advice from the athletic director or anybody else. He just does what the hell he wants to do. To an extent. I mean,
it's just, who's running these schools, these boosters. I was watching on TV how these group of Miami football players, the ex-Hurricane players, the ex-NFLers, are ponying up all this money for this staff at Miami. But this money, these guys aren't billionaires. This money's not going to last the University of Miami. But University of Miami is letting them do it because I guess they don't have to come out of their own pocket with the money. But who's running these schools? And I think you need to have a reality check about who the boss is and then who isn't the boss.
Right. Well, Jacob with a good point. He hasn't been fired yet, but I think that's definitely down the pipe because
he does. He's done.
We don't have official word that he's out yet, but I do think that I don't know how they bring him back, to be honest.
Yeah. It's like Jim Harbaugh. He goes up to the Vikings thinking he's fixing to be the coach of the Vikings and has to go back to Michigan with his hat in his hand and say, okay, I'm back.
Yeah. I don't know where to go with all that. I know that there's a lot of money out there. I know that if I'm Brian Harsin now, especially after the way that things have gone, I would be hoping that they would fire me. Go ahead and fire me.
Yeah.
Give me my $17 million to go away. And after 30 days, you got to pay it to me. So pay up. I'd want them to fire me.
No,
I really would.
And I have one more question. How much longer are we going to have to put up with the men's basketball coach at Clemson? Brownell.
Well, Brownell.
How much longer?
Brownell's been to the tournament. He went to the tournament last year, and I think he went to the tournament 2 years before.
Yeah.
I think that he is trying to recruit through the transfer portal, and a lot of times you got hits and a lot of times you got misses. And as of right now, there isn't the one guy on the team that my basketball folks that I've followed would tell you is a good player is PJ Hall, and PJ Hall's dealing with foot injuries. So Hunter Tyson's injured too. There's things that are going against them. They play 3 games in 5 days, starting with North Carolina tonight, Duke on Thursday, and then they go to Wake Forest on Saturday? So, they've got 3 games. They're going to be worn out. They could go 0-3 in this next stretch, and the whole idea of making the NIT tournament could be completely out the window.
They're not making the NIT tournament. I just don't see why paying him this much money does anything for your basketball program.
Well, the other adage to that, though, is that Clemson is not a basketball powerhouse like a North Carolina or a Duke, etc., and getting the big name players to come there is tough. And what Brownell is trying to do is string together good teams to get them into the NCAA tournament so they may have an opportunity to get a guy that's close to Clemson up there that may be coming down the pipe eventually to say, hey, you know what? Maybe I'll stay at home.
Well, let me ask you this.
Sure.
Is Auburn a basketball school now? They're ranked number 1 in the country. How did they get there so fast?
Auburn's completely different because they have a completely different style. Bruce Pearl has set them up where they have some guys that are pretty good players, but Auburn's built on being long and shooting threes and playing hellacious defense. That's not the kind of basketball that Brad Brownell plays. So it's completely different.
So he has, what you're saying is he sees a coach that has success and says, I'm not going to copy that success because I want to have a completely different philosophy.
Well, no,
he $4 million a year.
Each coach has their own philosophy that may or may not work for them. I just think that the way that Bruce Pearl sets his guys up, he may take guys that right now are 2-star players, but they're long and athletic, and he teaches them, hey, we're going to run the floor and shoot the 3.
Yeah, but Clemson's not even doing that. Clemson's just going, it's transfer.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows who's going to be on the team next year?
That's true.
I mean, if I was PJ Hall, I'd say C. I'd be out of there so fast. Yeah, my foot's done for the year. I wouldn't mess around with Clemson anymore. I mean, how does Gonzaga become a top 5 school in the last 10 years?
Gonzaga's recruiting a different part of the country.
But how does Duke go down the past 10 years? I mean, it's just I don't know.
I mean, I wish I could give you answers on all of it. The biggest thing is that they don't have the talent at Clemson that they've got everywhere else, and the style of basketball that he plays, like Oliver Purnell, he had guys there that could play. KJ or what was it? KC McDaniel, I think was his name. I can't remember, but he had the one guy that could go out and shoot the threes. And then he had a bunch of guys that ran up and down the floor and played great defense. Terrence Oglesby played on that team. He was probably the best shooter to ever go through Clemson, but he got there because he knew that he would get lots of times to put up shots because they ran up and down the floor and played great defense. So
yeah, but I mean,
things like that.
You know, that was Promel's thing. He played heavy defense. The coach we have now, I can't tell you what kind of offense we play or defense we play. Well, I know they don't play really good defense. They can't shoot the three to save their life.
They don't have that either.
And the basketball world has turned into it's up and down the court shooting threes, and Clemson can't find a kid that can do it. I don't know, man.
The shooters aren't out there anymore, man. Everybody wants to jack threes, but they're not actually. There aren't any Terrence Oglesbys out there to shoot the ball. Let's just leave it at that.
No, thanks, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I wish I could tell you something that would make sense with South Carolina or Clemson's basketball team. I do think that both coaches, with Coach Martin and Coach Brownell, they have systems that they want to put in. The idea with Coach Martin is that you're going to play good defensive rebound. So, you know, we'll see how that goes. Quick break. We come back. We'll have more for you here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Deposit. That's deposit. Enter it now.
All right, welcome in Greg Hood from Mazda of Columbia. Greg, what's good under the hood, my friend?
Everything's good under the hood concerning you. I'm so excited to be sponsoring your show.
Hey, welcome to the madness, sir.
I thank you for that. I think the cool part is you and I become friends through doing the podcast with Andy Woods, which is kind of crazy in itself. But I think it's just a great investment for me to reach out to the people that you're talking to every day and making them angry, and I like that.
I try to keep it solid, but hey, man, solid deals at Mazda of Columbia, right?
Absolutely. We take care of our people, and we take care of you.
Well, you know what else is solid is the great new dealership you're building right down the street.
It's getting close now. I think May 1st, which should be our opening time, and the walls are going up, and it's looking good.
And, of course, people can find out more about Mazda by stopping in. You're right there on Greystone, right? 100
Greystone on the corner at Greystone and Broad River, or MazdaofColumbia.com. That's MazdaofColumbia.com.
Hi, this is John Farley. For the past 12 years, you've seen me on TV. But before becoming a meteorologist, my first degree was actually in finance. My parents, like a lot of people, didn't know much about the financial world. As a result, they got exploited by some not-so-honest folks. That's why finance has always been a passion of mine, and for the last 6 years, I've been working with the team at Preservation Specialists to help people just like you plan for your retirement. What I love about Preservation Specialists is that we are locally owned and fiercely independent. That means we simply work for you. If that's what you want in a financial advisor, then give us a call now at 803-9-RETIRE. That's 803-9-RETIRE. Don't make the same mistakes my parents did. Work with an advisor who can help get you to and through retirement successfully. 803-9-RETIRE.
Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through Kalos Capital, Inc. Winter is here, and you don't want to be left out in the cold. So call On Call to make sure all is working properly with your heating system. If you do have an issue, On Call can get your heat working quickly and efficiently. OnCallSC.com or 781-HELP. 781-HELP.
On Call Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Pick up the phone and we'll be right there. Call 781-HELP.
Got a party of 10 coming in. We need to flip those 2 tables.
Leah's restaurant is fully booked night after night.
Section 3 is still behind.
She no longer has reservations about finally finding a hostess.
Why doesn't 23 have menus? Oh, because they're in my hand.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to The Rundown. Follow Rob on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good.
Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Thanks for joining the show today, as we've got a ton of things we've been talking about, like who's going to replace the Brian Harsin at Auburn. Yeah, how's that going to work? Definitely getting into that. Someone said the show's off the rails today. I'm trying. Brock says that I think the Auburn rumors aren't true and everything was made up so more people would want him gone. Plus, if Harsin leaves, SC staff will get poached again. Yeah, that's what happens. Auburn runs into trouble. They just go and get some South Carolina coaches. B. Bean says Dan Mullen, he's looking for a job. Ed Orgeron's looking for a job. Bob Stoops is looking for a job. He just took Oklahoma and railed them up and down the roads with in a bowl game, and they beat the holy hell out of Oregon. So there's that. No, Nick Harsin is not out, but he's definitely a dead man walking. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with Harsin, but there's some of the names that are there. So I hold in my hands, by the way, this is a very interesting article about the 25 best football facilities in 2022. And the teams that are at the top, number 1, by the way, is Oregon, followed by Texas A&M, and Alabama's at 3, Clemson's at 4. I want to take your calls on this at 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown. Do you think that all of these big, elaborate places that are coming about now, where some schools are dropping $50 million, Alabama's dropped $95 million, do you think all of that matters? And what I mean by that is with the NIL, I think you need a good mixture of it. But the reality is that when it comes down to it, is it that big of a deal? 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. Let's go out to the phones. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Hi.
You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Have at it.
What's up? It's Mayhem Matthew. I'm a Georgia fan. What do you want to know about the Brian Harsin?
Who do you think should replace Harsin? You want to talk about that? Go ahead.
Honestly, if you want my opinion, I don't think. Did they come out and say that Harsin is fired?
No, but I think the reality is that within the next 30 days, it's probably going to happen.
I mean, I guess I would maybe disagree with you because I just don't think. I mean, some of the Auburn fans are trying to back him up and saying that he didn't do anything wrong or whatever. And a lot of the players were saying that he wasn't really mean to them. But I guess I seen some in the comments talking about Matt Rule or possibly. I'm a Georgia fan. I don't want to see Todd Monken go, but maybe Todd Monken wants to be a head coach in college. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, we shall see, man. Thank you for calling the program. I appreciate it. One more call. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon. Hello. Hello. You're on the air, sir. All right. Well, call back. 803-978-1832. Alan says I'm a meathead. Yeah, that's true. I've answered for more, for worse names than that. So yeah. Funny. 803-978-1832. Nick says, give old Boom another chance. Here's the thing. Does Georgia think that Auburn is a problem? If so, they will send out that mole to destroy another SEC program. That's kind of where it's at. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832 is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Let's go back out to the phones. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
What's going on, Rob?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing today?
Good, man. What you got for the show?
Well, I just want to say, like, why are we talking about Auburn coaching candidates when Brian Harsin hasn't even been fired yet? I mean,
because I think that Brian Harsin is going to move on, and I think that's going to be something that is going to happen here soon. And we like to look ahead here on the program.
Yeah, but it's like if Auburn really wanted to fire him, they probably would have already done it. So it's just like,
well, not necessarily.
I don't know.
Not necessarily. They may be trying to look for a way to get out of paying that buyout.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't see why we should be talking about candidates till he gets fired. I don't see why, but I understand.
Well, hey, fair enough, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for calling the show, man.
All right.
There
That's
you
all
go.
I had to say.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Yeah, he says we shouldn't be trying to replace him until he's gone. I can buy that too. I can buy that. Let's go to a break. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. This is the Rundown. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. Yeah, he's gone. I don't know when, what you're talking about. I mean, I think he's gone. By the way, for you guys over there goofing, I am drinking Sprite Zero. I'm not drinking beer. I'm just pouring it into a cup with some ice. Yeah, I like the Sprite Zero. It's Jim Cornette approved. He likes the Sprite Zero. Jimmy says, is Pat Dye available? I didn't know Georgia fans were in the closet there, Vol Steak. Well, welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Our last caller said, they haven't fired him yet, Rob, and that's fair. I can read the writing on the walls, though. I know that's the way that it is, man. They are definitely thinking about it. There's conversations happening. There really are. 25 people have left the program in the past 30 days. They're going to end up pulling people out of the stands before long. I hold in my hand the funny story of the day. Tom Brady, who we just thought, okay, this guy, he's going to retire. And he, of course, is out of there with Tampa Bay. Didn't really thank the New England Patriots. The Patriots fans were upset about that. But he said, quote, he's happy with his decision to retire and is looking forward to doing things other than playing. But he also said, never say never when asked about potentially returning to the NFL next season. Quote, I'm just going to take things as they come. I think that's the best way to put it. And I don't think anything, you never say never. Brady told Jim Gray on their Let's Go podcast Monday. At the same time, I know that I feel very good about my decision. I don't know how I'll feel 6 months from now. Tom Brady is going to hold somebody up. That's going to happen. He basically, trust me, there's going to be somebody that is in the mix that says, you know what? I'm going to go and get Tom Brady. I'm going to go and get Tom Brady. If he did opt to return, he would still be under contract with the Bucs. So there's that. Does he want to go out like he did in the playoffs? I don't know. But Tom Brady basically saying, yeah, there may be a shot for me to come back. That may happen. I think he's holding people up. Some of the comments, Papa Giorgio says maybe Auburn will get Lane Kiffin. 803-978-1832. Harsin just doesn't fit in. Kind of like Joe Moorhead didn't fit in. Even winning seasons can't fix that. Winning's a hell of a deodorant, though. I don't know which way you're going to go with all of that, but if you win some games, Jetmec says Brady should play one more year. I think with the team he had down in Tampa Bay, I think if they didn't have so many injuries that they were going to deal with, and the fact that Antonio Brown didn't act like a fool, they would have probably been they were the favorites to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season. Not taking anything away from the Rams. The Rams played well, but I think if they had another scratch at them, I think they could probably win. B Bean says, I thought Harbaugh would go to Minnesota and Tom Brady would coach Michigan. He was wrong. Yeah, I don't think Brady wants to coach. I really don't. Jacob says, for what reason? He's 44 years old and won 7 Super Bowls. Really no reason for him to come back. Yeah, I think everybody wants to have that Walt Disney moment, though. When they look around and they're like, you know what? I'm going to have my Walt Disney moment where we win, we go out on top, and I ride off into the sunset with the Lombardi Trophy. Maybe that's the way to go. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Do you think Tom Brady is going to play another season? Jetmec is right. He's still playing it. He led the league in passing this year. That's a hard stat. He led the league in passing yards this season. That's pretty impressive. Back out to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob, how you doing, man? Got a quick question for you about this Brian Harsin situation at Auburn. I don't keep up with Auburn football that much, but why was Gus Malzahn let go? Because Gus Malzahn was one of the only guys that could beat Alabama with any regularity, and then who thought that this Brian Harsin guy was going to be a good fit to replace him at Auburn? That's the only thing I got. I got.
Appreciate it, man. Well, the whole thing with Gus Malzahn was apparently he didn't fit in there, and they didn't like the fact that he won 3 out of 8 against Nick Saban, but apparently that wasn't enough. And then they wanted to hire somebody else. They thought bringing in Harsin, who was very, very good in the Mountain West and was coming in as as a highly touted guy, bring the excellence that he had in the Mountain West down to the SEC and give Auburn something that's different from everybody else, and try to be a little bit different from what's in the SEC. And right now, it looks like it's blowing up in their faces. It really does.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I personally think that Auburn should have kept Gus Malzahn, but that's just my opinion.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for calling.
Bye-bye.
All right, there you go. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown. Mayhem Matthew says, here's the thing, guys. Harsin's not getting fired. He has at least one more year. I think at this juncture, yeah, you're probably right. I mean, that would probably be the best thing to do, but I think they're just done. I really do. I just honestly think that he's just done. Remember, they got rid of Terry Bowden, who had an undefeated season. They got rid of Gus Malzahn. They got rid of Gene Chizik. All these guys did some great stuff at Auburn. Not good enough. 3-5. That's what their conference record was, or their record against Alabama. 8 games, 3-5. And what do you get for that? A foot in the butt on the way out. Anyway, yeah, they probably shouldn't have fired Gus Malzahn, but we've already crossed that bridge. We've already paid him his X amount of dollars to leave the program. So, yeah. Jacob says Harsin inherited the best program in the group of 5, and while they're still good, they weren't ever what they were under Harsin. Okay. I think Boise State is one of the best group of 5 teams. I mean, I know they haven't made the mark that Cincinnati made, but man, that blue field's impressive. They play some pretty good ball up there, up in old Boise in Idaho, the land of potatoes and steak fries. Being a chunky guy, I like that. 803-978-1832. Do you think Tom Brady should come back? Or do you think he should just say, hey, you know what? I've got a heck of a legacy. I could be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm going to go out and go on about my merry way. I think if he's going to come back, he needs to let the Tampa Bay Bucks know right now. Tell them, hey, look, don't, you have to put it out there. But as far as drafting a quarterback and things like that, yeah, I think they need to hold that up a little bit. Because right now, Tampa Bay is a pretty good team, and they're in the mix if they can get a quarterback back there that can lead them. But you're asking them to replace the best passer in the league. Oof, that's going to be tough. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Jimmy says Jim Harbaugh needs a new challenge. Fair. I know that he's announced his retirement, but he said on a podcast, never say never. Latest podcast he did with Jim Gray said, never say never. I don't know how I'll feel 6 months from now. That sounds like he's leaving an opening. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. At Drewski 2 times says, remember when you said Kirby wasn't a top 5 SEC coach? Yeah, I still don't like Kirby Smart, but he won. No, you Georgia fans have to defend him with just this blind silliness. He won. Congratulations. 803-978-1832. More of the Rundown. We come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Jay is correct. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Final segment of the show. Let's see here. Folks talking about Papa George here says Derek Mason was making $1.5 million a year as Auburn's defensive coordinator and left to go work for the Mullet at Oklahoma State to make $1.2 million a year. Yeah, there's that. He also said David Cutcliffe to Texas. There may be some ties to that in that Arch Manning may decide to go there. Apparently, he took Clemson kind of off of his social media stuff as one of the schools that maybe Clemson's out of it. I don't know. But apparently, Arch Manning is out of the mix at Clemson, it looks like, from the social media stuff, and who knows at this point. Maybe there's some smoke to the fire with David Cutcliffe going to Texas. Who knows? David Cutcliffe is a guy that is respected by the Mannings. Coached Eli at Ole Miss, coached Peyton at Tennessee. When Peyton was trying to come back, he worked with David Cutcliffe. Yeah, I mean, maybe that makes sense. David Cutcliffe is like a librarian of football, too, man. I mean, he knows his stuff. Jacob also says Sark needs to prove himself this year. Yeah, there's that, too. I don't know if Texas is going to be as short as Auburn is, though. Maybe they'll give him a little more time. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. Mayhem Matthews says Arch Manning won't go to Texas. He'll be in the SEC. Bama, UGA, LSU, or Ole Miss. You know, you never know with these kids, man. Don't worry. He could go to a program one year and then go to another one the next. He could play at two different SEC programs. You never know. Drewski says, what do you think Auburn's record will be if they keep their head coach? I don't know. They're going to be pretty good with Tank Bigsby back there. They've got some recruits that have come in as far as at quarterback, but I don't know, man. I really don't. I wish I could give you a better answer than that. So, quick note on college basketball here. South Carolina welcomes in Kentucky tonight, and the Gamecocks at home playing a Kentucky team that is looking for their 20th win of the season. They are pretty solid. I mean, that's pretty much the best that you can look at as far as the SEC. I mean, they're right there behind Auburn as one of the better teams in the country. Anyway, we'll take your calls at 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832, as we look at the odds for tonight's game, as South Carolina is at home, and they generally play pretty good at home, but they're 11-point underdog at home. That's a pretty stiff number. Big Bonnie Ross was giving up 30. he should be he'll be counting points. You know how he is. The other matchup with Clemson and North Carolina. Clemson plays their first of 3 games in 5 days, as they match up with North Carolina at 6:00 tonight. They are a 1-point underdog at home. Papa Giorgio says, I can only keep defending Frank Martin for so long. Look, if the thing with Frank Martin, I think last season was a COVID year, and it's hard for a lot of teams to get right. I don't think Duke made the NCAA tournament last year. I think that injuries and a lot of other things have kind of kept the South Carolina program down on that front. But if they decide to move on from Frank Martin, then I tell you what, a lot of the former players are in the mix of they love Coach Martin. Not that helps them right now. But we'll see tonight. 14-point dog at home. Clemson's a 1-point dog at home. You wonder who needs to win more tonight. For any team, for either of those teams to salvage anything as far as going to the postseason, a win tonight for South Carolina would be huge. North Carolina is not that good of a basketball team. I think Clemson's won 3 out of the last 4 against them. They're just not very good. This isn't your daddy's North Carolina team. So I don't know where to go with South Carolina. Can they shoot the ball well enough? Can they defend the 3? Tennessee shot the lights out the other night or the other day when they came in and won by 24 at Colonial Life Arena. Kentucky's got the same old Kentucky team. Lots of guys that are going to be playing in the NBA next season, with a coach that, let's just be honest, has a history of not being the best as far as leaving programs, and they're not being a mess. So with that, both games should be interesting. 6:00 tip for Clemson at Little John, 7:00 tip for South Carolina at home tonight against Kentucky. Kentucky looking for their 20th win of the season. By the way, the ACC normally has a good bit of teams in the NCAA tournament. Yeah, they may be sitting with 4 teams right now. You got a good team in Duke, and a rest of Wake Forest is pretty good. Kind of stoops down after that. You wonder if certain teams, if they heat up a little bit, like North Carolina, are going to get in on name recognition alone. But as of right now, it doesn't look very good for the ACC. The Pac-12 looks really tough right now with all those great teams they've got out there. All right, so we'll start breaking down the Super Bowl. Someone wants to know when I'm going to have my Super Bowl pick. I was hoping for LaVon Kirkland to come in. He may join me tomorrow. We'll see. And we'll talk about the Super Bowl and how that matchup is going to go with 2 SEC quarterbacks, Matt Stafford and Joe Burrow, going at it. But I think the player that'll make the biggest difference is that the 2 players, Von Miller and Aaron Donald, on the defensive line there for the Rams. They can really, really, really interrupt some stuff. Anyway, looking forward to that tomorrow night, on Super Bowl Sunday. Lawton Swan, the czar of Clemson sports. By the way, today is Lawton Swan's birthday. Yes, it is Lawton Swan's birthday. He is a ripe 55 years old. Yep. 55-year-old Lawton Swan joins you today with his program, Clemson Sports Talk. Be sure to check it out. It's always good entertainment. You got to love the Swan, right?
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Yes, we all love the Swan. I was looking for, I had like a show tune tuned up for Lawton for his birthday, but I can't find it. That's the way things work, I guess. Anyway, watch Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan's a good dude. Happy 55th birthday, Swan. We'll talk to you later on. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the game tonight.